What is going on, Nuggets Nation? NBA fans, my name is Tom Leuthner. Welcome back to another episode of Nuggets Today. We have a little bit to get to here today before we talk about first practice interviews, and I want to talk about some more media day updates and an update with the Los Angeles Lakers. And the first thing I want to talk about is having a guy like Bruce Brown back, because we got Bruce Brown back. So they're obviously able to bring him back, and I think that he was super excited to be back. I mean, I know he didn't show much emotion in the interviews, but just the words and phrases he was using, what he said was basically as soon as he got to Toronto, he wanted to come back. They were in the rebuilding stage. That's not what he wanted. He wanted to play for a winning roster. He said he's played enough of enough losing basketball in the last 2 years, and he just wanted to be back in Denver. And something else that people point out and realize is that Denver has, or Bruce Brown has Denver's logo tattooed on his arm. I mean, this is a guy who should have been here for 10 years. And I know he took the money and it made sense for him to go to a team like Indiana. But then once he started getting traded around, it didn't really make any more sense didn't make much sense for him at all to leave a team like Denver. But I'm super happy to have him back. He is going to be the backup point guard. And I know that Ben Tenzer and John Wallace have talked about the bench unit and who they're going to put out there. And today, actually, I believe there was a bench unit with Strother and Bruce out there as the 1 and 2, and Tim Hardaway as the 3, which means that Pickett's not in that second unit, and that second unit point guard is Bruce right now. But I do think that he's going to play a massive role. They asked him about his versatility, and he said, he's like, I could play the 1 through 5 on any team. And he's like, I'm not going to do that here, obviously, with Nikola Jokic and Jonas Valanciunas, but I am going to, be a versatile, part for this Denver team and be that 1 through 4 player that they need him to be, which I think is massive. Because if you need to play a small ball, quick lineup that could shoot the ball, he could play the 4. Is he the best shooter in the world? No. But then you have the freedom to play guys like, Tim, Jamal, CB, AG, Strother, all in that lineup with him. And obviously you could put even Cam, you put some of those guys at the 4 as well. But if you have the versatility of a guy like Bruce wanting to come in, you play a quick lineup with a guy like Jokic just throwing outlet passes, and you're able to run the 3 or 4 guard lineup with Bruce, Timmy, Christian Brown, and Jamal. That helps you out a ton. You have the versatility with guys like Bruce Brown to be able to run different sets of lineups, and you also have the defensive capability to take over a game with your bench unit. A guy like him and a guy like Pickett are going to be playing the backup point guard role together, and I think that they are going to be, monsters on defense. I don't think that, like I said, I don't think Bruce is going to come in and be this offensive monster. Nobody's expecting that from him. You expect him to come in, be able to handle the ball, not turn it over, and play defense, and that's what Bruce is. Bruce is going to be the guy that can do that, and like I said, he could guard the 1 through 3 with his size. I know it's a little bit tougher because he is a little small to guard a guy that's playing the 4, even certain guys that play the 3, like LeBron, obviously, KD, but having a guy like Bruce in there is massive. And then when you talk about size and having defense, you have a guy like Cam Johnson, who another guy who I think could fit the Denver's first 5 perfectly. And he sounds excited to be here as well. I think that everybody in this unit is truly happy to just be here. How could you not? You're playing with the best player in the world, in Nikola Jokic. And the one thing that I like that Cam Johnson said is the fact that he wants to play 77 games, minimum, and he wants to be durable for this Denver unit. Now, Jamal was talking about him and said that most nights he's going to be the leading scorer on this Denver team. He's going to bring something to this Denver team that they've never had before. They had MPJ, who's a similar type player, but when you can't dribble as well as he can, when you can't play defense, when you can't create your own shots, and the only thing you could really do is shoot, you sort of take away from the starting 5 and the potential that Denver has. So with a guy like Cam Johnson, you're able to have a guy who can handle the ball. Even if you need him to play in that second unit, you have a guy who could shoot the ball from deep, maybe even deeper than Michael Porter Jr. could have last year. You have a guy who's better on defense, who's more versatile when it comes to playing off the ball and playing on the ball, which means that we might see plays where Cam Johnson's bringing the ball up, and that leads to an off-ball screen from AG or Jokic for Jamal to get an open look in the corner, or even an off-ball screen for Jokic to get Aaron Gordon a backdoor lob or an open shot in the corner. So I think that having Cam Johnson in this starting 5 is going to be tremendous, and I do think that him being durable and being able to play multiple games or a good amount of the season for Denver is going to be a massive key in them winning potentially a finals and even at least one playoff series. He spoke about, his unfortunate injuries where he rolled his ankle with a few minutes left in a game last year, and it sidelined him for a week or two. And you can't have that this year. Denver does have the depth to cover him, to cover him up and be able to have him miss some time. But if he's able to play 77 games and he could be where Michael Porter Jr. was last year and go into the postseason healthy, that's the biggest factor for Denver, because MPJ didn't go into that postseason healthy, and that's what affected them. Or, well, he got hurt in the postseason, and that's what affected them when they lose a guy like MPJ. But like I said, Denver has depth, and one of those depth pieces is Tim Hardaway Jr. Now, I think that he is a massive part for this Denver team. I think he's the perfect vet for this Denver team. I think there are still some guys out there that I would bring into this lineup if I was able to. But they asked him what his favorite part of the game was, and he said it's shooting. I mean, what as a Denver Nuggets fan, the only thing we've continued to talk about is Denver has not had the shooting that Nikola Jokic has needed around him, especially off the bench. What do? They go out, they get Tim Hardaway, who's following in his dad's footsteps, wearing the exact same number his dad wore in Denver, and he is a perfect veteran for this Denver team. He understands that, he's going to have to come in, be a part that, or be the veteran that's going to hit shots and knock down shots, and that's what he spoke about. They asked him what he plans on doing, and he said, I plan on just knocking down those open shots for Denver. I plan on being the guy who can just make the simple shots and make sure I hit my shot. So I think that, like I said, he's the perfect veteran for this Denver team, and I think that really he blows out anybody else, out of the water that could have been in Denver in the free agency towards the end of it, or the time that we got him at that point. I think that guys like a Kogi could have been good. I think that a guy like Dorian Finney-Smith or Laravia could have been good. But I wasn't expecting Denver to get Tim Hardaway Jr. at all, because there was no news about it. There was no reports about it that I saw. And then out of nowhere, they pick him up. But like I said, I think he's massive. I think he's the perfect vet for this Denver team. Now, the next thing I want to talk about is the potential, I want to say 4th or 5th seed in the Western Conference. That is the Los Angeles Lakers. They picked up a perfect bench guard for them. I know they have Marcus Smart, who's going to miss games. We all know that. They picked up Nick Smith Jr., a guy that I wish Denver was able to get, a guy that is a 10 points per game scorer who's shooting just around league average from three, I think a little bit higher actually. He's a shot creator off the bench, and pairing him with a guy like Marcus Smart next to him, a guy like Jake Laravia off that bench, potentially having Rui there, Jackson Hayes, or if they get Walker Kessler or whatever it may be, he's perfect for them. It is a two-way contract, which I'm actually surprised about, because I do think Nick Smith Jr. should have been on an NBA team. But it sort of scares me, because the Lakers have firepower now. They have depth. They have a good roster. And pairing a guy like Luka up with anybody is nerve-wracking, especially when you have a bench scorer, coming and being able to light up any team in the Western Conference. So it does make me a little nervous, and I hate to see these players coming to the Western Conference and actually making a difference. Like, the one big thing to me is the Celtics and Brad Stevens saying that they reached out to Cornette and Al Horford and they both signed in the Western Conference instead. So I don't like to see that, because not that I don't want competition, but every single team from 1 to 9 or 10 even are competitors. Maybe that some aren't as competitive as others, but there's competitors from 1 to 10 in the Eastern Conference. That's not a thing. But that's all I got for you guys this episode. Like I said, I'm going to break down some post-practice interviews and talk some more about what people have to say about Denver. But that's all I got for you guys today. Hit that like and subscribe button. I'll catch you guys tomorrow.